Okay, we're going to start by going through the guided practice. I'm going to go over the guided practice with you, and then you're going to work the rest of the page by yourself. When you have finished this worksheet, then you can check your answers. If you score an 80 or above, you can go on to the quiz. If you score less than 80, you'll need to see me for help. Make sure you have the worksheet Comparing Numbers Practice. This is the guided practice, and you're going to be using these symbols. This first one is greater than. If you have trouble remembering which one is which, you might put a G under the greater than. This one is less than. Put an L there. And notice how it looks like a folded over L. The less than symbol looks like a folded over L. And of course that symbol is equals. And when we're comparing two whole numbers, anytime we're comparing numbers, we're going to want to put a decimal, even if there isn't one. Put a decimal and a zero. A decimal and a zero. Every number, any whole number, any number that doesn't have a decimal already, you can put a decimal. And then we're going to line them up by their decimal. So I'm going to write 62,970 and put my decimal 0. Then I have 629,700, 629,700, decimal 0. Anytime that I'm comparing numbers with a decimal, the first thing I do is look at the whole number part, the part to the left of the decimal, and see which of those two numbers is bigger. If one of these numbers is bigger than the other, then that tells me which is greater and which is less. If the two numbers in front of the decimal are the same, then I have to look at the decimal part. So here I'm looking at these two numbers. This is 62,000. This is 629,000. 62,000, 629,000. 62,000 is going to be less than 629,000. So I'm going to put the less than sign. And I'm going to write it here below the box, because the gray box, if you write on it with pencil, it's hard to see. So write your answer below the box. All right. Now, the next number, I have 5,219. I'm going to put 0.0. 5,912.0. 5,219.0. 5,912.0. We do this so that we always are used to lining numbers up by their decimals. Now I look at them, and they have exactly the same number of digits, the same digits, but in different order. So I'm looking, this is 5,000, this is 5,000, so I'm going to compare this part, 219, 912. 219 is less than 912, so this one is also going to be less than. Okay, the next number these numbers already have decimals in them. So I don't have to add the 0.0 because they already have decimals. I'm going to line them up, 0.41, 0.041. Whenever we're comparing decimals, we always want the decimal part to have the same number of digits. And if one of them is shorter than the other, we're going to add zeros. You can always add zeros at the end of decimals. We're going to add zeros till they have the same number of digits. Now I compare the number in front of the decimal. I'm comparing 0 to 0. So those are the same. Now I have to look at the decimal part. When I look at the decimal part, this number, if I read it all by itself, would be 410. This number with the 0 in front would be the number 41. So I'm comparing the number 410 to the number 41, and 410 is bigger or greater than 41. So this one is going to be greater than. Look at the next one. These already have decimals in them, so I'm going to write them down one over the other, 0.12 and 1.2. Now these decimal parts are not the same size, so I'm going to add a 0 there. Then I also look at the whole number. Look at the whole number part. I'm comparing 0 and 1. Well, I can tell by looking at the whole number part that 0 is less than 1, so I don't even have to worry about the decimal. If you first compare the whole numbers, if you can tell which one is greater by the whole number part, then that's going to be how you tell which is greater, which is less. If these are the same, like they were in the last problem, then I have to look at the decimal. But here, when I'm looking at the whole number part, 0 is less than 1, so this is going to be less than. Number 5 introduces positives and negatives. Anytime I have any positive number is always greater than any negative number. If I'm comparing a positive number with a negative number, the positive number is always bigger. It doesn't matter what it is. Any positive number, even a fraction, is bigger than any negative number. So this one is going to be greater than, because the positive number is always greater than the negative. The next one is comparing two negative numbers. Now, negative numbers, if you think about them on a number line, here's 0, and positive numbers go 1, 2, 3, like that. Negative numbers are the exact reverse. They are the opposite. So they go -1, -2, -3. In the negative numbers, the bigger the number is, the less its value. This direction is less. This direction is greater. Okay? So when I'm comparing negative numbers, -3 is actually less than -2. The bigger the number, the less its value. So let's look at these two, -5 and -10. The bigger the number, the less its value. So that tells me this one is the smaller number, this one is the larger number. So -5 is greater than -10. Now you have 20 problems just like the ones we just did to finish on this worksheet. When you finish the worksheet, we'll check your answers. If you get at least 80% correct, then you'll get to go on and take your quiz.